Welcome back. The State Department is estimating the Russian government has forcibly deported up to 1.6 million Ukrainians, including 260,000 children from their homes to Russia. In a statement, Secretary Blinken said Russia's, quote, filtration operations are separating families and confiscating Ukrainian passports in place of Russian passports in attempts to change the demographics within Ukraine. The State Department also said Russian authorities are, quote, disappearing some Ukrainians, particularly those associated with Ukraine's government, media, or civil society groups. Eyewitnesses and survivors have reported some individuals targeted have been executed. The State Department is calling these operations war crimes and a breach of the Geneva Conventions. The news from the State Department comes as President Biden arrived in Israel today to kick off a 4-day trip to the Middle East region. He was briefed today on the country's Iron Dome system and when laid a wreath at Israel's Holocaust Memorial. But all eyes will be on the president's meetings later this week in Saudi Arabia, especially as new inflation numbers show energy prices up 41.6% over the last year. I'm joined now by someone who knows what it's like to be a part of a presidential trip overseas. I was with him on a number of these trips overseas. Ben Rhodes, former Deputy National Security to former President Obama and an NBC News political contributor. Ben, thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Good to see you, Kristen.
I want to start with this just incredibly disturbing news from the State Department about Russia's filtration operations. In addition to just condemning them and calling them war crimes, what do you think the Biden administration can actually do, and how can they hold Russia accountable?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely horrifying. It recalls really the Stalin-era tactics that Russia used back then to move whole populations and ethnic populations around in order to control territory. And what you may see here from Russia is not just moving these people out, but seeking to repopulate areas of eastern Ukraine that they have conquered with Russians to solidify that territory as part of Russia. In terms of what can be done, I think, first of all, spotlighting it like this is going to be part of a global diplomatic strategy to appeal to those kind of fence-sitting countries around the world outside of Europe who've yet to really take a stand against Russia's invasion, to put pressure on them to join the coalition of countries that are sanctioning Russia, that are enforcing sanctions. And then you want to send a message to Russian officials. Look, Vladimir Putin clearly doesn't care, but that there will be war crimes investigations into this. And if you're a part of this filtration effort, whether it's 1 year from now, 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, you're going to be held accountable. You want to get inside the heads of those people. Let's
turn to the president's trip specifically. He is in Israel, as we were just reporting. What are your expectations of his visit to Israel? I know that the expectations, broadly speaking, have been quite low, given Israel's going to be holding elections again in November. How does the president try to get something done, given the fraught political backdrop?
Well, you're right. You have essentially a caretaker prime minister there in Yair Lapid, who's only been there for a few weeks, an upcoming election. So this is not something where you can make dramatic new steps. I think you're not going to see anything on some of the issues that, we were dealing with, Kristen, when you were on those trips, like the Middle East peace process. That feels kind of moribund in terms of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. I think what you will see is an embrace, really, of this bloc that is formed between Israel and the Gulf Arab states, which is really about Iran. And so I think what you're seeing is a more sharp-edged Biden administration approach to Iran. President Biden making comments today that suggest that the Iran nuclear agreement is unlikely to be re-entered so long as there's this impediment of a sanction that he doesn't want to remove on the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. And he'll want to tout, I'm sure, the normalization process between the Gulf states and Israel. And the reality is a big motivating force for that normalization pact is the shared views that those countries have on Iran. So to me, it feels like this trip, in addition to the awkwardness that's upcoming with Mohammed bin Salman, speaks to a turn towards a potentially more escalatory situation with Iran.
Well, let me ask you about some comments that President Biden made on Iran, Ben, that are making some waves. He was asked during an interview with Israel's Channel 12 about the situation in Iran. He didn't rule out using force as a last resort to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. What did you make of that response?
Well, I think the idea that the United States would consider the use of military force to prevent Iran from getting a weapon is not new. The rhetoric, the language is a bit more pointed. I think coupling that, however, with the kind of moribund Iran deal reentry talks and this line that Biden has drawn around an issue that, by all reports, is important to getting back into the deal. If you take that together with this multi-day embrace, really, of Israel and the Gulf states' views on Iran, I think you're in a potentially dangerous situation, because the reality, Kristen, is that since leaving the Iran nuclear deal, we've seen Iran dramatically increase its nuclear program, its nuclear stockpile, the kinds of machinery that they're using on their nuclear program, and really reaching the precipice of having enough nuclear material for a weapon. So this is not something that has gotten a lot of attention with the war in Ukraine and inflation, but we could be entering a chapter here where the United States finds itself kind of drifting away from the kind of diplomacy and diplomatic effort to solve the Iranian nuclear program towards a more confrontational position.
Yeah.
And we've seen in the past under Trump how that can kind of put us, on the precipice of potential military escalation.
And very quickly, we have less than a minute left, Ben. What are your expectations of his meeting with Saudi leaders? We know that is very fraught as well. Ultimately, the U.S. would like Saudi Arabia to release and produce more oil. What are your expectations there?
I mean, it makes me very uncomfortable. I think for Mohammed Salman, it's very clear what he gets. He kind of gets to launder his reputation and kind of be welcomed back into the good graces of the international community with a presidential visit. They'll also be discussing, I think, defense cooperation. And again, that ties back into Iran. That's something the Saudis very much want. In terms of increased oil capacity, there's not all that much that the Saudis and the Emiratis can do to bring down gas prices. Every little bit helps, but my expectations aren't that particularly high.
Ben Rhodes,
the rhetoric
we are
will be
out
good,
of
but I'm
time.
not sure that the follow-through will be.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it.